Hello guys, welcome to our live transmission. Today Hangout will be about Node.js and Python department. My name is Michael and I'm the manager of those two departments. We're going to talk about things that are Node and JS specific, how to be a developer in Netguru, how to join Netguru, and how to cooperate within our projects. Before I introduce my guests today, just a few interesting facts that you might find useful during our conversation. So there are three main backend departments in Netguru, which is Ruby on Rails, Node.js, and Python department. And obviously, we're going to talk about Node.js and Python today. We have almost 70 developers in both departments, so 35 in Python and 35 in Netguru. There are 8 junior developers, 33 regular developers, 25 senior developers, and we have 4 software architects. Apart from that, we have around 10 different knowledge sharing initiatives in our department. So while you join us, you may learn a lot of things from your colleagues and from your friends. So without further ado, I would like to introduce my guests from Team Python. We've got Camila Kulas and Stanisław Reduta. Hi, Camila. Hi, Stanisław. Camila, you're muted, by the way. And everyone. From Node.js, we have Hello. Adrian Adrarczyk and Patrick Sadok.
Hello.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, guys. How you doing? Everything good?
So, a little stressed.
Don't worry. So to start our conversation with an icebreaker, so how was your day today, Stanisław? Did anything cool today?
Well, usual routine. Done a lot of coding. Two PRs merged, where we're pushing quite a big feature recently, so demands a lot of effort and a lot of teamwork. But yeah, very satisfactory day at work.
Any fires today? Or cool?
Not today. Fire department is off duty.
Okay, cool. Adrian, how about you?
Yeah, so recently I actually left the project, so I'm on something called Bench. And yeah, I actually didn't code anything today, but I'm working with R&D department to research some things like blockchains on AWS and that sort of stuff. Yeah.
Is this just pure research, or are you researching for something else?
I'm researching it for making proof of concept for maybe future clients. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Patrick?
Yeah, besides digging in the AWS Lambda functions, I've been caring for my teammates because besides being a Node.js developer, I'm also a team leader within Netguru.
Okay, while we at it, what does a team leader do in Netguru?
Yeah, basically, team leader is a person that takes care of people's growth. So I need to set quarterly goals for everyone within my team, and also I need to take care about their progress in projects. And of course, if there is a fire, then I must be the first contact person to help with that.
Okay, how many people in your team?
5 at the moment.
That sounds great. Camila, how about your day?
Since I'm also a team leader, I had 2 long meetings with my proteges. Both of them were face-to-face meetings, which are performance conversations. So we reviewed the last quarter, their progress, their feedback from their teammates, and all that stuff. So I had lots of meetings today.
Okay, so a busy day. So if you have a day like this with full pack of meetings, a bit of coding, how do you track your time during your work? How do you do this?
We are using such a tool as Toggle, where we can use a timer, which tracks time automatically, or we can input the hours like by hand.
Okay. Anybody checks that afterwards, or just?
I think that usually not, but all leaders have insight into this tool to check whether proteges are making some over hours, which are not recommended by us, or what the person was doing in the last week, month, or whatever time range we specify.
Okay, a spoiler alert, a manager always checks the toggle each month to figure out whether there are some over hours or not. And it's not because we're tracking you guys, but just to make sure that you're not working too hard. So this is the main reason. I know you know that, but just a spoiler for everybody else. Adrian, did you toggle those R&D things today?
Not yet, but yeah, I will in a few minutes.
In an hour?
Yeah, actually, yeah.
Okay, cool. So when you toggle that, apart from toggle, what other tools do you use on a daily basis?
Well, if you're in a project where a client already has some kind of tech stack, then you would use, as Camila mentioned, toggle to toggle your work time, but also any IDE that you want to use. There is actually no specific requirement. You can use whatever you like. If it comes to other tools, we of course use Git, and yeah, it could be GitLab, GitHub, Bitbucket. Probably not, unless you're working specifically on things like not management, but
yeah, just kidding.
Yeah, I know. Okay, other tools, basically project management tools like Jira, built-in GitLab and GitLab project management, some documentation apps, LWS or Azure for hosting, and most probably Docker to run apps locally.
I think you forgot about the most important thing, Adrian. Slack.
Yeah, Slack, of course.
Yeah, Slack, apart from Facebook. Yeah, Facebook first, then Slack. You need to keep communicating, right?
Yeah.
So, Adrian, apart from the tools, I know you're from Node.js department, so can you tell me a bit about frameworks that you use? Maybe not today, maybe not on the bench, not during the R&D, but what tools, what frameworks did you come across working at Netguru?
Yeah, so basically, I think most of the projects, I think 75% of them use TypeScript. The rest use JavaScript, and it's combined either with Nest.js, Express, sometimes Fastify. Yeah, of course, Nest.js is built on top Express or Fastify, so we use that internally. But yeah, it also depends on the client. If client already has existing code, then we work on that specific framework. If it's possible, we try to change it, but it's not always that easy. And if we can actually choose or start project from scratch, we would like to use Nest.js.
Okay. Nest.js is like your favorite framework of choice, or would you choose anything else when starting a project?
I think we are now working on templates to actually start projects much easier and much faster. Because yeah, how many times you can actually write authentication for a specific project? It's almost the same in all the projects. It varies in things like if it uses, for example, Facebook or Google to log in, but it's pretty much the same across all the projects.
Okay, nice. What about Python, Stanisław? What kind of frameworks?
Well, the beauty of modern software development is that there are many different stacks scattered across different projects, and there is no boilerplate like book approach to what technologies we use. For example, in my project that I'm working on, where we have a serverless approach, we took the serverless approach to our app, so we're relying heavily on AWS, and it means that there is no like you cannot run your code locally mostly, and it means you have to know a lot about how to deploy your code into AWS cloud, how to connect microservices, how to manage the deployment process. So our projects mostly are based upon what our clients actually are, what our clients' needs are, rather than just picking something from the shelf and saying, okay, we're going to use this. So yeah, it gets very interesting, and even within one project, we usually move through several different frameworks during even the shortest period of time, like during 6 or 10 or 12 months, the background picture can change significantly.
Are there any frameworks
that's how it looks.
you would like to try, like, I don't know, Cherry Pie or something else?
Well, I kind of jumped into the deep end of the pool, if you know what I'm saying, because I was dropped into AWS stack right away, and I had to learn serverless, and I think it's the future and at least the best solution for now. Obviously, there are other alternatives depending on what your app does, is like whether it's Django, Fast API, or it's super tiny application of Flask. So for Python, there are many alternatives and many ways you can solve problems, from the smallest and simplest up to grand ideas that require dozens of people working on it.
Yeah, thanks. Camila, anything to add about those frameworks? Are you using the same on your project?
We actually use Fast API in our project, and I'm pretty satisfied with it. I think it's a better alternative to Flask because it's very similar but asynchronous. But I think the standard for our Python developers is Django, and this is what we require in our recruitment task. And as Stanisław already said, AWS is very common.
Okay, thanks. You mentioned earlier that you had a lot of meetings today. Doesn't it make you difficult to work with your project? How many projects do you have currently, apart from being a leader?
I have one project, most of our developers. Actually, I think junior, regular or senior developers, they all have only one project, and there are higher positions that can take part in more than one project, but I think this is what you can say more about, Michał. But I wanted to add that I think it doesn't make any difficulties for me to work on my project, because I tend to cluster these meetings, so there are no blank spaces between them, so I don't have to switch contexts very often, and I really recommend that approach.
Okay, so time management is the key.
Yeah.
Did you learn it by yourself, or did you follow some frameworks for that?
I think that I already figured it out even before I was a team leader, because when I had one meeting in my project and then 15 minutes or half an hour break, it was really, I wouldn't say annoying, but it was hard for me to switch contexts very often. So it was always pleasure for me to see in my calendar that there are no spaces between these meetings, and that's why I think that my proteges are satisfied with my approach, and I'm also satisfied. So I think everyone's happy.
Would you like to take another project simultaneously?
No.
Okay.
No.
We remember that. Okay, the positions you mentioned, the roles you mentioned with a couple of projects, these are, as you mentioned, something a bit higher than senior developer. These are software architect and solutions architect, which you respectively take care of either few projects or few clients during your daily work, or if you're an engineering lead or a engineering manager. So the roles that are managing multiple accounts and multiple clients at the same time. So if you have one project, is it possible to choose a project? Can you choose a project, change a project whenever you like, Patrick?
Yeah, it is possible for some specific cases, because basically our PMO team searches for the best candidate for the client for every project. And for example, if we would have two projects that would require like very similar skills, then there is a possibility that the developer will take his own project into the consideration. But otherwise, for example, when we have really high demand and we have a lot of, not quite a lot of people on the bench, then usually it is required decision just to go into that project.
Okay. Can you tell me about the project you're currently in, what you're doing there?
Yeah, at the moment I'm on the bench, but as I'm leader, I have like 3 projects in the background. Some of them are difficult, but some of them are not for my teammates. And of course, it requires a ton of context switching from me. So I don't know if I should go into the details of those projects, but still, those types are very different from each other, because one project may be a e-commerce shop, and another project may be a fintech that would be used by the very rich people, for example. So, we can go from A to Z through the whole alphabet, and we just can't tell what the next project will look like.
Do you have any favorite type of projects? For example, rich people, fintech, or something else?
Yeah, most likely it would be the fintech, because I was in the 2 fintechs and only the one e-commerce shop, and I liked the fintech more. So.
Okay, cool. Aljan, how about you? Sticking with Node?
Yeah, I also worked mostly in fintech projects and also one streaming that is pretty much similar to any other streaming platform like Netflix or Prime Video and so on. But I think I actually prefer working also on fintech, because there is so much data to go through to learn different kinds of tools and so on. Yeah.
Okay, keeping with the streaming project, because I find it very interesting. Without spoiling any names of the client, can you tell a bit more what was done during this project? What you were responsible for?
Yeah, so basically there were 2 main things. One was 2-factor authentication. The second one was applying profiles to the accounts. So basically, when we started working on that project, we only had 1 account, and they just wanted basically to have 1 account and up to 5 profiles for every account. So you can just pay 1 subscription, but have a profile for every family member, for example. So yeah, those were the 2 main things that we were working on.
Okay, and this was a foreign customer, right? It wasn't a Polish one.
Yes.
Did you have a chance to cooperate with the client in any matter? And if so, how often? What did you do? How did you meet?
I mean, we had to actually contact them and communicate with them every day, and there was no other way around. Actually, most of the clients, of the communication was, I can tell you that most of the communication were done every day, starting from dailies, from meetings about features. So most of the time clients already have their own developers teams, and those teams are basically our leaders, I would say, or they are actually leading the meetings to provide information what we actually have to do.
Okay, Patrick, you're in Node as well. Do you meet with clients when you're in a project, and how often?
Most of the time, and it happens usually only once per week, on the weekly or on the demo session. Or sometimes we must admit that everyone makes failures. Sometimes there is a fire in the project and we must make a quick follow-up, so we must meet with the client immediately to fix everything.
Is it like the client calls you after hours on your phone, or how did you meet? How does the client contact you?
Usually we have a shared Slack channel with the client.
So it's not a night call?
Nope.
Okay, cool. So we know that we connect with clients during our Node.js projects. What about Python? Stanisław, did you meet with clients, or how often do you meet with clients?
Oh yeah, all the time. Maybe it depends on the type of collaboration you have with your client. In my case, it's sitting with them all the time, obviously virtually, meeting several times daily. So it differs from project to project. In my case, it's an ongoing collaboration and conversation several times daily, and even having big meetings with a lot of people several times a week.
Okay, so this is a foreign project. Camila, you're in a Polish project. However, is the same culture with meetings? Do you meet with the clients, or you just told what to do? You're in a big project, so probably there are a lot of meetings and with different stakeholders, right?
As you said, we have a really big project with more than 30 people in it. So we don't take part in our daily meetings anymore because it took too much time and there was really no big value in it. So our stacks representatives take part, but we attend to other meetings like project retrospective or sprint reviews and all that kind of stuff. So I would say that yes, we meet with the client almost every day. And what's important, my project is one of the few where we lead, where our communication is in Polish language, not English.
Okay. Can you tell me a bit about structuring your project? Because you have a large account, large client, but you're separating into different smaller pieces of projects. Can you tell me about your piece?
Yeah, I think this we can say about separation in like 2 dimensions, because our project is really big. So we have like half of the team working on one functionality, big functionality, and the rest of the team is like a core of the project. They are doing some maintenance or some fixes and all that stuff. And in these 2 groups, we have backend developers, which are Python developers. We have iOS team, front-end team, and Android team. And also in all of that are like project managers, deployment coordinators. There are a lot of people there.
Okay, thanks. So, Patrick, do you remember your project structure before you were on the bench? So when you worked in the project, was it similar or something else?
Yeah, it really depends, because most of the times I've been working as an extension for client's team. And that means that I've been directly working with clients' developers. But even though I had like an internal project manager to talk with about any problems or issues that could endanger the development of the project, and of course make sure that everything is okay and I'm still motivated to work. And of course, if I wasn't working as a team extension, then the whole team was internal, with some cases of external developers, but still they were working as internal developers, and still we got our internal project manager, quality assurance, and of course account manager.
Okay, you mentioned quality assurance. Do you do testing yourself?
When it comes to the code and to the initial testing of every feature, yes, I'm always testing my own code if it really works on the development branch before merging to staging. And if I make sure that everything is okay and all of the tests are passing on the pipeline, then I'm feeling free to pass the tickets to the QA.
Okay. Alden, how about you? When you were working, for example, in this project with video streaming, Were you
Yeah.
doing tests? Were you responsible for it, or somebody else did it?
Yes, for some part of it, of course, but I can say that most of the time there are actually 2 or 3, sometimes 3 parties that are responsible for the tests. One is developers team, as Patrick mentioned. The second one is the quality assurance team that checks basically the app from one end to another. And sometimes there is also a third party, which is the client. It's basically a last gate before putting anything for production. So yeah.
Okay. How do we manage tests in Python, Camila?
I think it's like a standard for us to write tests, like automatic tests, but also there is a QA in the project to do manual testing.
Okay. You mentioned that your project is big. How big is it?
How should I measure it?
Number of backend developers, for example.
Okay. So we have like 6 backend developers or 7, but I think it's easier to measure that project in number of repositories. There are like 10 of them because we decided to split this project in several smaller applications, so they are more stable and reliable.
Okay, thank you very much. So I think I have one more question, because this is an international event. We're all speaking English. So what actually level of English is required to get into Netguru, apart from our being almost perfect? But how good do you need to speak English just to get in? Stanisław, can you tell us about it a bit?
Well, I put it as good enough. I think our current level demonstrates what's the desired level of communication, or do we interact between each other with the clients. We're not expecting people to be like C2 proficient or almost native speakers. We as a matter of fact, we don't even need any type of certificate, as long as you're comfortable and people can understand what you're saying, should be enough. But obviously, the better your English is, the better communication with the client will be, and potentially more positive will be the feedback from our client to you.
Okay, I think we can all agree that most of our clients are English speaking or English born. So this is the main language that we use during our workday. So our documentation or artifacts, blog posts, etc., are being created in English. So either way, you need to at least communicate in this language. So I think this is something where we can stop with our conversation and move to questions, if there are any from the audience. I see that Camille asks, do we use PyCharm for Python dev, or is it more developer's decision, which IDE? So Stanisław, go ahead with this one.
The answer is yes, we do. But you can use whatever you want. If there are very few cases where clients or the project is demanding to use some specific IDE, so you can use whatever IDE you're comfortable with. But if you want to have PyCharm, we're happy to provide you with a license for a PyCharm, so you can use full professional version without any limitations. So thumbs up for PyCharm.
Yeah, this is actually our weapon of choice in Python development department. So this is by default assigned to every developer that starts, unless the developer explicitly says that he wants something else, which didn't happen before. I think it will be the same in the future. So guys from Node.js department, Patrick, sorry. Do you use any IDE?
Yeah, Visual Studio Code. I believe it's the best IDE because with all the marketplace and all the add-ons, I can literally make this IDE what I want. Yeah, it's really great because I don't know, I can connect Docker add-ons I can connect database explorer add-ons. I can do literally everything that would help me in everyday work and would help me avoid installing all the unnecessary stuff like my SQL workbench or anything like that.
Okay, cool. Can you have another question from the audience? Okay, how big are our project teams? Do you have international teams? Oh, maybe I can take with this one. Actually, the standard team is 2+ developers on a project. Sometimes it's bigger. For example, we have accounts with 72 people on board, which is huge, I think, in my opinion. But most of our projects are 2-3 people. There are sometimes projects with one developer, which is not bad, not good, depends on the project. However, it happens, of course. In terms of international teams, yes, we hire people from abroad. Sometimes we are a part of a team from, for example, a client that has his own front-end development team, and we assign backend team to cooperate. So the teams are mixed international and Polish. Plus, there is a chance that we have people on board that are in different time zones in different countries. So yeah. The general rule is that we do not stick to a particular country or particular, I don't know, language while assigning a team project, but it's mixed most of the time, yeah. Okay, another one. How is it possible that we can work fully remotely? Do you guys work remotely? I myself stay at home all the time, so I will be biased while answering this question. Maybe Stanisław.
Well, taking into the account my loose T-shirt and white background and part of the couch showing right here, yes, I'm working from home, as probably most of us do. But that's the reality of 2021. I think we'll all get used to it, or got used to it already. And yeah, it works perfectly for me. But I think we have a couple offices available, but I mean, there are options.
Sure. What about Polish customers? Do we work remotely with them as well, Camilo?
Yes, there is a possibility to work remotely with every customer. We have one small exception where QA needs to be on place in Poznań, but this project is under NDA, so I cannot say anything more.
Yeah, but because of the tooling, right? Because the hardware you use, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, Patrick, Adrian, do you work remotely? Patrick,
Yeah.
you have a beautiful background. I don't believe it's a house or a home.
Yeah, still I'm working remotely. We had an office in Rzeszów, but I've used it like 2 times, and only because I needed to give in some documents, and of course because I'm too lazy to drive a car somewhere. And to be honest, I got this fancy background because I'm a fan of photography, and I thought that it would be useful. But yeah, behind that, you would see all my mess within my room. So yes, I'm working remotely for like 2 years.
Yeah, cool background. Adrian, how about you?
Yeah, I'm also working remotely, and yeah, I was actually only 3 or 4 times in a Gdańsk office, but even if I was working with, for example, 10 or 15 people in my project, I was actually never meet them in person because they were working across the whole country. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Do any of you find it difficult to work from home? Is it at any point just something that you cannot bear? You would like to get to the office, apart from meeting our friends, apart from meeting your colleagues? Is there anything bad about working remotely? I take that as a no. So cool. I guess working remotely is like a standard nowadays. It's nothing unusual, but we mastered it to perfection. So this is cool. Can we have another question from the audience, please? Okay, you need to take part in our recruitment process and join our recruitment team, and they will guide you how to connect with us and how you can be a freelance developer in Netguru. It's like a simple process, but I'm not a professional recruitment, so I would guide you to contact our recruitment team, and they will help you and show you how to follow the rules to join Netguru as a freelancer. Let's go with another one. Okay, that's cool. Camilo, would you like to answer this one?
Yeah, it's not mandatory to use one specific framework, but sometimes there are cases when client have some specific request about the framework that we should use, but I don't think it's a common situation. So our tech leaders or generally speaking, the team are deciding what framework to use, basing on the requirements, specifications, estimations on what will be the traffic in the application, whole range of requirements for the project.
If I can add something, that's during our discovery process, so whenever a client comes to us with an idea for a project or for a business development, we think which technologies suit the project best. So in most cases, there is no requirement prone to our own recommendation, which framework or what technology for that matter we use, right? So we can use either frameworks that we choose currently to be the best ones, or we can choose the best ones that fit the selected project. So there is no, there is no rule that you need to use Django, but we're most proficient in Django, so it's like the favorite framework to choose. So let's move on. We have 20 minutes left. Okay, so Patrick, you didn't answer lately, so let's go with you.
Okay, so it depends, because if you mean the pair programming from the recruitment process, then it is about checking the candidate's possibility to solve any problem with the specific software language, like the JavaScript, TypeScript, or Python. It is also about solving a simple database problem. Usually it is a simple joining tables query. And when it comes to everyday work, then we simply connect with each other through the Slack or Google Hangouts, and we just code and brainstorm all the ideas.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Let's move on, please. What is Netguru? Oh, that's a good question, very deep one. I didn't prepare for that, but if I could sum up this with a couple of sentences, maybe not cliches, but a couple of sentences. So, of course, it's a software house, right? It's a digital transforming agency. It's a team company. It's a big company with a startup mindset. Netguru is multiple people combined together with one goal to make beautiful software. And I don't think I could describe Netguru further because it's a lot. We are Netguru. It's a team of people, team of friends. Recently, we had a couple of integration parties, so we feel that this is something that Netguru is. And if you have any more questions about Netguru, please ask them and try to be more specific, less philosophical one, because I'm not good with philosophical questions. Okay, let's move on, please. Okay, Nest.js, Vue.js. Patrick, you're happy about it?
I'm not a big fan of Nest.js, but still, I believe that it is a very good framework, especially for new projects that need to be developed very quickly. And regarding the Vue.js, I never used it. I'm a fan of React.js personally.
Okay. Adrian, do you work with Nest.js or Vue.js or combination of those?
No, not really. I haven't worked with it in any projects, but I'm actually using it on daily basis on my own project that I'm doing privately.
Your own project. Okay, I see
Yeah.
the next question coming up. Okay, so yes. Yes, but it always depends. I will take this one because remember that we are only human, right? And if we focus a lot of 2-3 different things during a day, during those 24 hours, we get tired. So it is possible to work on your own projects, but it has to make sense, right? You cannot be tired as much as not to deliver your work during working in Netguru or during your work in your own project. So whenever I always use common sense whenever anybody asks me whether I can do it or not. This is a common sense rule. So if your project that you're currently on allows you to work on something else and you're experienced enough and you're long enough in the Guru that you can handle those two simultaneous things, I don't see any problems. Of course, there are rules that our internal rules on which we assign those projects and we allow to conduct those projects. But general rule is yes. The second general rule is it has to make sense for you to work efficiently and for you not to burn out in the next couple of months, right? So let's move on with more questions, please. Adrian, what is your project about? The other one?
You mean the streaming one or
no? You mentioned that you work something after hours.
Privately, I'm actually making some project management tool, basically mini Jira, I guess. Right now, I'm working on something connected to files management because I want to create a file management that is similar to Google Drive, which is not that trivial because of the structure of files. What is the what is the basic structure? And it's just a binary tree. And right now I'm actually having problems with that. So yeah.
Fires in your internal project. That's cool.
Yeah.
Do you use any Node.js frameworks for that, or is this?
Yeah, I use Nest.js, and I'm also using React.js with Electron because I want it to be executable. So.
Okay, to follow up on the next question, which Node.js framework do you prefer? So Nest is like your favorite one, or is it just by accident?
I mean, there are many others like Loopback. Nest.js, Loopback. I mean, Express is also a framework, but I'm mostly using Nest.js.
Okay. Patrick, have any favorite frameworks?
Yeah, as I said before, I'm not a big fan of Nest.js, although I think that it is very good for new projects. But for projects that would need more custom solution and really faster performance, I would choose Fastify. Or Apollo GraphQL, for example, if we would want to take GraphQL into consideration.
Okay, makes sense. Okay, let's move on with different questions, please. Vue 3 and React. Does anyone wants to take that one?
Then I will maybe able to answer half of that question, because as I said before, I didn't use Vue yet, but I think that React is pretty much good because of the low entry level, and it does not require TypeScript like Angular does, so that entry level is even lower in the end, but still it is a good thing to use TypeScript. Because it's very obvious that we, as developers, would like to avoid any types mumbo jumbo that would cause a project to explode in the end. So yeah, React is good. Vue, I don't have an opinion.
Okay, I think we use React in a couple of projects and Vue as well, but we had to have front-end developer here to just confirm that. We can move to another one. This, I think, would be either for Camilo or Stanisław, whoever wants to answer this one, about serverless and its advantage over other projects, all other languages.
I think I can weigh in. Well, since both of these technologies are not multi-threaded by default, I wouldn't compare one to the other per se, although they are very similar, and they both work perfectly with serverless. If we're talking about AWS stack, I never worked with Azure, but something's telling me the solution is, if not quite, but almost the same or very similar to ones we have in AWS. And with regards to threading in Lambda, generally this is not something you want to do. Like threading at least in Python, is very tricky, is very hard to debug, and is very painful to work with. So if you need to work on a big chunk of data, or you need to process something quickly, I'd rather suggest using a queue or step functions, or just beef up your Lambda hardware so you have more memory or faster CPU, so the task runs faster. But again, threading within a Lambda is probably not the best idea to solve the problem. However, there are other solutions within at least AWS Cloud, and I think within Azure, that will do the same thing as you probably would in a more elegant and easy and developer-friendly way.
As far as I remember, your project actually consists of a couple of teams. A couple of those are in Node.js, and a couple of those are in Python. Both work in serverless, right?
Yes, we have a lot of microservices that are both, well, not simultaneously. Some microservices are in Node.js, some of them are in Python, and they all work very nicely. We're using REST and GraphQL and queues, relationless databases. Non-relational database, sorry about that. And well, the practice shows us that you can merge those two technologies and they will work very nicely one with another.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, thank you very much. And let's go with another one. More experienced developers. The answer is, it depends. I don't like this answer, but it depends actually on the project, on the assignment you will have. Generally, during discovery process or discovery stage, we try to fit the team and to compose the team so to make the most use out of the resources we have. So we try to combine junior developers with regular developers with senior developers. As I mentioned before, we do not have a lot of junior developers, 8 for now in both departments, as well as software architects. So something higher than a senior developer. We have 4 of those people on board. And we try to mix senior developers with regular developers on every occasion we have. But sometimes you don't need to have somebody with a higher seniorship during your project. A regular developer can handle most of the projects, or at least some of those very well. So we do not have to fix them with somebody that will watch their back. However, there are also opportunities that you can share your knowledge apart from the project. So whenever you're assigned a project as a single developer or only regular developers in your team, then you can always contact your friends from the team. So contact senior developers, contact software architects during their working hours or during their open hours to, I don't know, ask questions or confirm your theories with them. Node.js versus Python, what do you prefer and why? Actually, as a manager of both of those departments, I do not have a favorite child, so to speak. I started with Python first before I took over Node.js, but both languages are, I think, interchangeable in most cases. I do not see like the advantage, maybe with chats or Node over Python, but from my point of view, I don't see one being predominant in terms of capabilities or possibilities between those two. Actually, funny story, we have those Node.js meetings and Python meetings every month where we sum up the situation in our departments. And each time I have a very cool experience whenever one of the department is doing slightly better than the other one. So I can always say that, oh, this month Node.js has more projects, or this month Python hired more people. And either way, I'm the winner here because there's both under my supervision. So I guess I don't see any difference, and I do not have a preferable one. Guys, I guess you like Camila and Stanisław, you like Python. Hopefully you, Patrick and Adrian, you like Node.js. Okay, let's move on, please. Okay, so JS is easier than Python. PHP is easier. Guys, do you have any comment on that?
I would strongly disagree with this statement, but opinions.
Yeah, so you think Python is easier?
Yeah, I think it's more user-friendly. The community is, well, it's, again, we can debate around that, but Python community in recent years is growing so fast, and there are so many frameworks, libraries, extensions, just like a lot of things that you can just gather from internet, and virtually you can create something without even writing any code. You can just zip in a couple libraries, write a couple lines of code, and your solution just works. So Python is, for me at least, is slightly better solution for open source and collaboration. However, JS is catching up really quickly. So
if you consider the community behind Python, that this is something that pushes it forward before JS, in your opinion?
I would say so.
Okay.
I can also say what I like more in Python than like not only Node.js but whole JavaScript. I like in Python the fact that there is only one correct way to do something. This is like logic behind Python, and what scares me in JavaScript is that there are multiple ways of doing the same thing, and I never know which one is the best, like 500 ways to refresh the page, something like that. I think what can be tricky in Python in comparison to JavaScript is that in Python you need to know what you are doing. It won't like lead you by the hand, like Python trusts you that you know what you are doing, and I think it's a little easier in JavaScript.
Okay, thanks. Adrian, as you're laughing, you think Node.js is easier than Python?
I mean, it depends on what you mean by easier, but I would say that maybe it's not easy, that easy to learn, but you can actually use it also on front end and all the other apps. So it gives you actually more flexibility with what you want to learn, because you can write apps that are executable with Electron.js. You can use JS for front-end apps with Vue, React, or any other framework that you want to choose. That's my opinion.
Okay, Patrick, why is Python easier?
For me, it isn't. To be honest, I'm a big fan of Node, and I've tried to learn Python back in the past, but still, it was very hard for me because a lot of things needed to be done manually, and JS solves a lot of those problems. So it was a lot easier to start for me. And even if I was working as a full stack developer, mostly on the front end before, it was easier for me to move into the backend without losing any knowledge or feeling that some of the knowledge that I've got already is useless.
useless. The keyword
Yeah.
here. Okay, guys, to sum up this conversation, I know it's called Python versus Node, but actually we're not fighting on a daily basis, so this is something unusual for us. Just to the audience, Netguru allows you to travel between different stacks. So if you join Netguru as a, I don't know, Ruby on Rails developer, you can transfer to Python at some point. You can transfer to Node.js. As you can see, both languages are easy to learn. And with that in mind, I think that's it for today. Thank you guys for your patience. Thank you for your questions. Thank you for participating. Team Python, team Node.js for the win. Guys, see you soon, and let's see how it went. And thank you for your effort.
Thanks, Michal.
Stay safe, guys.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you, guys. See you.
Thank you.
Cheers.